If a man ever follows you around and narrates your life, ignore him at all cost, I'm warning you. He's always been here, although I actually don't know if he's a he. And though I wouldn't want to assume anything, the voice is definitely a male's voice. I've never seen his face, always the back of him. He wears a black trench coat with a popped collar so that all I can really see is the very top of his head and part of his black boots. I can't communicate with him, and I figured this out a few years back. He just stands a few feet away from me at all times, his back to me, narrating my entire life. No one else can see him. I figured this out a few years back as well, nor can they hear him. My day usually starts off the same. I always wake up to the same sentence. Natalia wakes up and rolls over in her bed. Every single day he says that because that is what I do. It's all very mundane. My life is not that interesting after all. I've sort of learned to live with it, and I can almost tune him out now. I've never really told anyone else about him because I know that no one would believe me. So I really don't have much of a choice other than learning to deal with it and tunning him out when I really need to. About a week ago, I was cooking dinner, mashed potatoes and black bean tacos, and tunning him out is normal. As I was chopping up some cilantro for my tacos, however, he said something that caught my attention. Natalia is innocently chopping cilantro without any knowledge that she is in grave danger. I froze, the knife in the middle of my small pile of cilantro, and looked over at him. He was standing on the other side of the kitchen island facing my dinner table. "What?" I asked, knowing that he wasn't going to reply. At this point, I think I'd be more freaked out about him replying than him not. He said nothing for a few minutes, so I finished chopping, wiping the pieces of cilantro that got stuck to the blade with my finger and cutting it in the process. Fuck. I walked, turned around, and turned on the faucet, rinsing the knife and my finger. Natalia cut herself, and her blood oozes out, pleasing the one who watches. I turned the faucet off and turned around. He hadn't moved, but I was sure that I heard him correctly. I walked over to the window on the wall to my left and pulled on the cord, shutting the blinds as I became paranoid. I managed to eat my dinner and do the dishes without any other weird comments and got ready for bed. As I got sleepier, I reached over and turned off the lamp by my bed, rolling over onto my left side and closing my eyes. Natalia rolls over, closing her eyes and peacefully lying in her bed. What she doesn't know, however, is that she will soon face a horrible fate that will end in her death. I opened my eyes, sitting up and looking over at his silhouette, slightly lit by the moonlight. I waited a few minutes, but he said nothing else, and I eventually fell asleep. I woke up the next morning as my alarm went off. Natalia wakes up and rolls over in bed, one day closer to her inevitable death. I got up, walking into the bathroom and slamming the door shut, annoyed and a little bit scared. He had been narrating my entire life and had never said anything creepy or out of the ordinary. So what was going on now? I opened the faucet and began splashing water onto my face. Natalia washes her face, but she doesn't seem to realize that it is much easier for someone to attack when her eyes are closed. I rinsed the soap away from my eye area and looked at my reflection in front of me, and at his, standing behind me. I finished rinsing my face with my eyes open and managed to dry it without completely covering my eyes. The rest of my week went pretty similar. Normal narrations for the most part, with some creepy stuff sprinkled in. He is coming for her very soon. It is unavoidable. Natalia must die. Every time he said something, I looked around at my surroundings, paranoid. I spent the entire week anxious and paranoid. I barely slept, fearing that I would wake up in the middle of the night to some performing spontaneous surgery on me. I put a knife in my bedside drawer and pepper spray under my pillow. Yesterday there were more creepy things than usual. Natalia's days are numbered. Natalia has been feeling anxious, as she should. The one who watches is arriving shortly. The one who watches is very excited to kill Natalia. There will be no escape, only death. I didn't go out anywhere for fear that would somehow cause whatever was going to happen sooner. Last night I was getting ready for bed, brushing my teeth and staring at his reflection behind me in the mirror. As I swished mouthwash around in my mouth, he spoke again. Natalia brushes her teeth for the last time. Tomorrow she dies. I spit out the mouthwash, choking on a bit that had made its way down my throat. I coughed and wheezed. Natalia choked on the mouthwash, feeling like she was dying. But it's not her time yet. Her time is tomorrow. I managed to catch my breath and walked over to my bed, crawling in and leaving the lamps on. The last thing I needed was to be woken up at midnight and have to fight off a killer in the dark. I woke up today a few hours before my alarm and got up. I was still alive, and nothing was out of place. Maybe I wasn't going to die today. Maybe it was all some sort of fluke. I walked into the bathroom and grabbed my toothbrush. I squeezed out some toothpaste to brush my teeth and put the toothbrush in my mouth. I looked up into the mirror at my reflection and then I froze. I spit into the sink and looked around the bathroom. I stuck my head back into my bedroom and looked around there as well. I made my way through every single room in my house, but he was nowhere to be seen. He was gone. 25 years following me around and narrating my life, and now suddenly, when I was supposed to die, he just disappeared. Somehow this made me feel worse, as I realized that while the things he was saying were creepy, they were also helping me by warning me how much time I had left. Now I had no warning and no choice but to wait it out and see what happened. I can't shake the feeling that I'm definitely going to die. But how? And by who? Who was the one who watches? What did that even mean? I've spent my entire day in the kitchen. I figure there are more exits here as well as weapons, and I'd probably be safer here than in another smaller room of the house. So far, nothing has happened. I've been sitting in silence, which is odd because I've never been in complete silence. About an hour ago, all the lights began to flicker in the house, but that only lasted a few seconds and it's gone back to normal now. I still don't know what to expect, but I think I'm probably safer at my house. Well, I thought I would be, until the doorbell rang. I got up and walked into the living room, walking up to the door and peering out of the peephole. It was him. He was standing outside on my porch with his back to me as usual. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe as I just watched him standing there. He's still out there now, but he hasn't said a word. I'm still in my kitchen, not knowing what to do. I could hear him mumbling outside the door a few minutes ago, and I finally decided to get up and listen. 2,000, 1,999, 1,998, 1,997. He's still counting down, and I've now got about 20 minutes left. I can see that it's getting darker and darker outside as he counts down, even though it's not even 3 o'clock in the afternoon yet. Every time I look out the window, something disappears. A house on my street, a car, a tree. Whenever something vanishes, it's replaced with darkness, and he keeps counting down. This might be my last chance at communication. I'm going to die today.